What is up, YouTube? It's Heretic here, and welcome back. You may have noticed that the update earlier this week made Ninja Boy legal for play in the Versus mode. Oh my goodness, it is about time. Anyway, we're going to go into a deck that Sam Hough took to top 4 at the World Championships, only now it has been modified not only for the Primal Clash on rotation, but also for the new meta that we are looking at, which means a few card changes to accommodate that as well. So we're going to start out, we've got our 3/3/3 Vileplume line. So with Force the Giant Plants, she can come into play on the first turn with the Irritating Pollen ability, preventing both players from playing any item cards from their hand. Very simple, very irritating indeed. So we're going to take advantage of that. And because we're running Vileplume, I'm just going to get into a tech card right now, Wobbuffet. This is not a mandatory inclusion, really, but this is just kind of something I like to have in Vileplume decks, especially since we run Floatstone, to be able to send up, usually after something gets knocked out, and just say, hey, now I can play my item cards again, and then we can go back into our lock. It does allow our opponent to Lysander out of Vileplume lock, I do realize, but the benefits you can get from it are also extremely potent for the most part, so I see no reason for now not to play it, although this list is definitely not the same as Vespiquen Vileplume, so that may change down the line. Anyway, we look at the rest of the deck. We've got our attackers. We've got Jolteon-EX, which deals 70 damage for a lightning and 2 colorless, also denying any damage to be done to Jolteon-EX from your opponent's basic Pokemon during his or her next turn. So if you run against a deck that is all basic Pokemon, Flash Ray can take advantage of that and help you cruise to victory under item lock. Likewise, we have a copy of Glaceon-EX, which does the same thing as Jolteon, only for a water and 2 colorless this time, and against evolution Pokemon. Glaceon just for decks that are more evolution-based, Mega decks and such, as opposed to where Jolteon would be more useful against decks like Darkrai and Giratina. And then lastly, we have 2 copies of Regice. If I recall, Sammy actually didn't play Regice in his list because the World's format was full of non-EX decks like Greninja, Night March, and Trevenant, as well as Vespiquen Vileplume. But now, with all the Mega Evolutions and the Dark Tina decks, Resistance Blizzard just denying all Pokemon EX, Megas and Basic EX, from being able to do any effective attacks, including damage, done to Regice during your opponent's next turn. Just absolutely crazy way to lock down, and this might actually be the MVP attacker of the deck. We'll kind of get into that and see whether or not it is, but it has been so far in testing. Just such a good card, and it's amazing what the rotation was able to do to change the meta and shift things back to a Pokemon EX heavy format. Next, we have 1 copy of Lugia-EX. Oftentimes people will try to opt for Yveltal in this build, Yveltal EX or the Fright Knight Yveltal. When looking at just getting a piece of muscle, for example, with Yveltal-EX, I just went ahead and switched to Lugia because being able to attack for a double colorless rather than needing the Rainbow Energy as well as 1 more energy card, just a little easier to attack with, I feel like. And it also has Deep Hurricane, which can deal 150 damage and discard a Stadium card for a pair of double colorless energies. So this is really just the deck's lone piece of extra muscle that we got going on. And then finally 2 Shaymin-EX, just because draw power. And we want to get that Vileplume out on the first turn if possible. So that is our Pokemon lineup. We got a little bit of everything, kind of a potpourri going on, but, you know, kind of a theme also with Regice, Jolteon, and Glaceon, just denying our opponent being able to damage us back. So definitely could be frustrating to go up against. Item cards, we have 4 Ultra Ball and 2 Level Ball as well. This is to help get Vileplume out early again, as Level Ball can search Oddish and Gloom. And then we have 4 copies of Trainer's Mail to help speed us to our trainer cards that we need early on in the game to make that Vileplume happen. And you may notice no copies of Versus Seeker, and that is primarily, once again, because we are running Vileplume. So once it's out, unless we get Wobbuffet out for a turn, Versus Seeker is not going to do anything for us. So we just go ahead and omit the card altogether and just run our supporters as is. So in our supporter count, 4 Professor Sycamore and 4 N for our draw power. And then we have 2 Lysander as normal, 2 copies of Ninja Boy, which can switch out our active for an easy retreat into Jolteon, assuming our active is not a Vileplume or a Gloom, as it only works with basics. And then we also have 2 Olympia for the same reason if Vileplume is dragged up and it does not have a Floatstone. we can Olympia it right back to the bench, and also heal 30 damage off it, you know, for what that's worth, but mainly just to get Vileplume out of the active spot, because don't want that getting stuck up there stalling us out. Next we have one copy of Pokemon Ranger. This is primarily for if we were to go up against a Jolteon-EX or potentially a Regice, just to be able to get a little bit of damage down. 4 Forested Giant Plants, obviously, to go with our Vileplume line. You could try to argue cutting one for Parallel City, but the power of Item Lock and damage denial with our attackers just seems so powerful, and we just want to maximize the consistency of that turn 1 Vileplume, I feel like. So that's why we're just sticking with the 4 Forests, at least for right now. And 3 Float Stones, you want to get these down early. You want to run enough of them to try to get one on an Oddish or Gloom before it evolves into Vileplume and locks everything down. If your opponent does play a Hex Maniac at some point during the game, you can also try to drop your Float Stone then if you weren't able to earlier, as you get the benefit of item cards on your turn as well. But mainly we're going to try to get those down early on. And then we've got our energy, 4 double colorless. All of our attackers are double colorless compatible. Lugia, even Shaman, and then of course Jolteon, Glaceon, and Regice, all double colorless compatible. And then we have 4 rainbow energy, just to be able to use for whichever attacker we get. And then 1 lightning and 1 water. Could probably switch out to 2 water if we wanted to, since we have more water type attackers than lightning. But sometimes Jolteon is just that good too, so it's just kind of a player preference here, I think. And so this is a bit of a complicated deck, but that's a look at it, and we're going to go ahead and get into a game now and see if we can't make this sucker work. Okay, so it looks like we're going against either Rayquaza or Scizor here. Hey, Absol won us a coin toss, and it's not even our Absol coin. Oh, jeez. I mean, outside of the Shaman, this hand's not terrible, but why do I have to start with a Shaman? That sucks. Ugh. Gross. Okay, so he flips over Magirda. So we're going to get Regice down right away. We're going to level ball here. Grab a Oddish. Looks like one of those is prized. That's about it, though. Okay. So we can put Oddish down. Yeah, let's just do that. And we can get a Shaman here. There should be another one. Yeah. So let's go ahead and grab that and see if we can't pull a Forested Giant Plants here. Alright, that's what we needed. There we go. Makes it worthwhile. Forest, and we go into Gloom here. We can also put Glaceon down on the bench here. And I'm not going to put the Jolteon down only because it doesn't look like it's really going to be what we want to try to be swinging with here. Go ahead and put the Vileplume into play. And we'll attach to Regice. So we get the first turn Plume, which is good. And so we do see a Scizor-EX come down on our opponent's side. And let's see this. Prevent all effects of attacks. That's what we want. Glaceon do the same. Nope, Glaceon is only damage. So we definitely want to go with Regice. Okay, so he's going to parallel us here. So we'll go ahead and discard our Shaman off the bench. And then we see a Metal Energy go on to Scizor. Okay, now we see a Professor Sycamore. So Floatstone, Mega Scizor, and a Metal Energy. So he plays down Hoopa. And we get Scizor, Mega Scizor, and Shaman out of the deck from there. Okay, so there's another Scizor. There's a Trubbish. And passing of the turn there. So, of course, we draw the Jolteon, but it's not really going to help us right now. And didn't really do much in this matchup. So we'll just attach to the Regice and play Sycamore here. Alright, now we draw the Ninja Boy for next turn, so we can Ninja Boy Shaman out into the other Jolteon and then free retreat and start attacking. So it looks like that's going to be the play. Okay, so he is going to Lysander, so he brings up Vileplume. We can't Ninja Boy that one out. Do you see an evolution into Mega Scizor? Okay. So we have a decision kind of going on here now. Looks like we could also do a Lysander play here for stall tactics. So let's bring up Hoopa. That sounds good. Okay. And we can just attach... We want to attach up to the Vileplume here, maybe? So the thing is, we can use the Glaceon to hit, but I don't know, it's not quite as resilient, I don't think. We're just going to actually attach to the Vileplume here, and we'll pass our turn. Okay, so he's going to play an N, and if he ends us into an Olympia, that would be just peachy. But, of course, that didn't happen. He does end us into the double colorless, however, so we could hard retreat the Vileplume for 3 energy, which just, oh, seems so bad, but it's just, anytime that happens, wow. So we hard retreat Vileplume, and we can actually Ninja Boy Shaman out of play, and we'll put another Regice in its place. And then we will Resistance Blizzard here for 70 damage. Okay, so he just passes his turn, so we can go ahead and get to work on Regice number 2 here. And we're just going to Resistance Blizzard again, not really much else to do. Just kind of sit on what we got and let him take another turn. Okay, and he's just going to forfeit the game, you know. I think he's just kind of looking at this. Doesn't have access to Versus Seekers, so maybe only has one more Lysander play. And so we were able to just kind of get things on lockdown there despite our Vileplume not having a Float Stone. Apparently 3 retreat is manageable. So we will go ahead and get into one more game and try to make this thing 2-0. Okay, so another round. And what do we got? Come on, heads. Yeah, let's go first. And, okay, so we're going to start with a Regice. And we have a pretty decent hand. Be a lot better if we had a Forest of Giant Plants, of course. So we see just basic Dark Tina stuff. Anything exotic? Nope. Also want to keep an eye out for enhanced hammers, potentially, because those could create a giant nightmare if we can't get Vileplume up. Ugh. Definitely would like to fit a Manaphy-EX in here. So we're going to get 2 free draws. How about them apples? Alright, now we're going first. Oh, Umbreon. Wow. Okay. So we're going to Ultra Ball here. I'm going to discard Pokemon Ranger. It looks, well, oh, gee. Well, you know, we're going to discard it anyway, so we might as well. And I guess Olympia. So Oddish is going to be the pick here. Let's see. Okay. What about our energy? So we don't have any in hand. Okay, so only the basic water got prized. That's fine. I'll go grab the Oddish from the deck. Put that down. Give it a Float Stone. Play this Trainer's Mail. Forest? Yeah! Bingo. Awesome sauce. Alright. So we'll get the Forest down. We'll evolve into Gloom. Things are looking good. Go ahead and, Shaman. Yo. Get on the bench. Give me my 5 cards. Okay. So we will attach to Regice up in the active. We're going to float this Shaman. And we're going to play another Shaman. No, that's not a Vileplume. Alright, fine. And There it is. There's my boy. Alright. So we're just gonna go ahead and just casual first turn Vileplume here. And pass the turn. So we do see a Giratina. And there's a baby Yveltal. Okay. You might be needing that. There's another Giratina. It'd be nice to find Jolteon next turn. So we see a Darkness Energy go on to Umbreon. So we're going to see a Veil of Darkness here. It's going to Sycamore. See a Floatstone and a Double Dragon hit the discard. Feel free to throw away as many Double Dragons as you want, dude. I have no beef with that. Okay, Darkrai does make his way onto the board. Okay, so he parallels himself. Now that's actually relevant to us, if at least it would be if we didn't have another forest, because that would reduce our damage output. He tosses out one of his Giratinas, and now we're going to see how many cards he chooses to discard here. He's going to get a look at our hand, and discards 3 items and an energy, so he discards 4 cards. And so we'll draw for the turn, and we're going to go ahead and just knock that stadium out. Get our damage output back. Can put a double colorless down, and we're just going to go ahead and play the N. Okay. So we do get another Oddish that we could put into play here if we wanted to. Okay, he's just going to forfeit. Oh my goodness. Alright, so on lockdown, Regice Vileplume again. Just proving the power of Regice. While in the World format, in Sammy's deck, I think Regice definitely not necessary due to the meta, but the way things are now, my goodness, it just seems so good. So we're going to go ahead and actually do a third game, because that was pretty quick. I don't think he felt like playing that out, so we're going to go do one more. Okay. So can we take this thing to 3-0? Oh, Mega Mewtwo coin. Hey, we're 3 for 3 on the coin flips. Yes, I definitely want to go first. Ah, oh, that's no fun. Send it back. Yep, shuffle it back in. Oh man, that was actually a good looking hand too. Had the Forest, had the Level Ball, had the Ultra Ball. Got almost all of it back. Didn't get the Forest though. That kind of is a problem. Got the Gloom, got the Floatstone going on here. Got a Draw Supporter. An N at that, given his extra draw. Okay, and it is Mewtwo. There's the Forest. Okay. So we need to get Vileplume running and not let that Garbodor get activated. So Forest, Level Ball here. And we can actually just get the Plume right here, I think. We'd have to be willing to discard this Floatstone to do it, though. That's the problem. Let's see. We can get Oddish. We can get Gloom. Oh my god. Do I really want to put that thing out there without a Floatstone is the question. You know what? Screw it. YOLO. Where is it? Let's get this sucker out right now. Before he can put a Pokemon tool on that Trubbish. And then we'll N. And we would have drawn it anyway off the end. Ripperoni. Alright, so we're just going to attach an energy to Jolteon and pass our turn. So he attaches to Mewtwo, and we'll probably see a 30 damage Shatter Shot here. That's it. Okay, he's just going to go straight for the Lysander. Saying, nope, we won't be having any of that Vileplume stuff going on here. And, oh god, we literally drew the worst possible card there. Okay, so we need to find a Olympia and fast. Okay, we did find one. That's good. So we can put Regice down with an energy, and we should be in a solid spot next turn. So again, we see a 30 damage Shatter Shot here. And we're just going to Olympia out of the active spot. We're going to bring Regice forward. And that 30 damage heal could actually be relevant too. I'm going to go ahead and Resistance Blizzard here for 70. Okay, so for the third time we have an opponent just forfeit the game under the lock of Regice Vileplume. So I think that says a little something there, ladies and gentlemen. This is pretty darn good right now. Obviously, certain matchups you would use different Pokemon. For example, if you went up against like a Rainbow Road, you would obviously use Jolteon. If you went up against like a Vespiquen kind of deck, you'd use Glaceon. But, oh my goodness. So, I think we've kind of gotten the message that if we get this set up, people are just going to scoop. That's what we're going to take from this, and that is Regice, Jolteon, Glaceon, Vileplume box. We're going to go ahead and call this a deck for the day. 3-0 record, can't complain. So we will go ahead, and I will see you next time. Cheers.